For the first time in a long time, we have an all-female cast of contestants that are ready and willing and able to meet Lord Chippy. So let's meet our swamp monsters for today, because wow, they're a doozy. And one of them is definitely a big old doozy.
They're our skin, they steal our grace. These monsters wear a human face. No gavel, no badge, no throne, no crown can stop Lord Chippy from burning them down. Justice ain't fast, justice ain't clean. It's a long, sharp road through the in-between. So raise your fists and light your flames. Chippy's coming and he don't play games.
Now, this is a case that's actually been covered a lot on YouTube. If you've uh, ever peruse channels that do maybe more long form content or interrogations, I do believe that this woman's interrogation is on some of the interrogation channels. I will try to find it and do a one-off. It's a heartbreaking case. Maybe, quote, maybe I hit him too hard. A babysitter who threw, yes, you heard that right, threw a toddler into a wall, blamed his injuries on him eating soap. Now, as I have remembered and pre-planned today, by the power vested in me in buying, well, ridiculous Sailor Moon props for this very purpose, I excommunicate you from the female race. You are, I don't even know what you are, but we no longer see you as a lady, as a woman. You are a female, and we do know, just know, you don't go here. You're not from our school. Full Mean Girls, like, we don't know you. We don't talk to you. Just none. No. A 24-year-old woman, again, at 24, you have this amount of evil in you. Wow, your demonic powers have grown greatly. You're a late blooming child prodigy of evil. How awesome. She will likely spend decades behind bars for taking the life of a 23-month-old baby boy who she was babysitting. Again, I have covered this I've seen this interrogation, and the mother finding out that her child is hurt. She gets a call, that, scary call that you get in the middle of work. Hey, your son's at the hospital. We need you to come in. What's going on? And the mother was deeply questioned about what had gone on, because the police don't know what's going on. And, they have to look at the person closest. So the mother. And then it came out that, this absolute heifer, Kamoria Lumay Hodges, and again, don't care if I said her name right, because she has, been adjudicated of taking a young life. Now, a jury in Macomb County on Thursday found her guilty of one count of murder in the 2022 taking of young Kyrie Starks. This beautiful, vibrant, loving, look at this baby boy. He was, a blessing and a miracle for his mom, just like every kid is. And she stole that. Now, as Law and Crime has previously reported, officers with the Roseville Police Department on June 22nd, 2022, responded to local hospital staff after a report that a young boy had been admitted with severe head trauma. Now, the victim's mother had contacted police after picking up her son from Hodges's home. Hodges was a neighbor that had been babysitting the child on a semi-regular basis over the last couple months without any issues. So, she had a routine. It was semi-regular. She'd drop her son off there, and he was usually a-okay when she got him. Nothing that would have warned the mother that this was an unstable, situation or things like that. Now, Hodges had reportedly contacted the mother, at work, and said that the victim didn't look normal. So, she called and said, hey, he's not acting right, things like that, all in a very sort of sus way, like, oh, I'd have no idea how this happened. Now, the mother rushed to Hodges' homes, where she found her son in dire straits. Once I made it there, my baby was on the ground having a seizure, just seizure after seizure after seizure. She told Detroit Fox affiliate WJBK. Now, Hodges attempted to blame the boy's condition on an allergic reaction to him eating soap. Now, as a mother of 6 children and one who liked to just put everything in his mouth, soap doesn't do that. And this was all put out on a GoFundMe page that the mother put up for her son. Now, the boy's mother said she initially thought that Hodges was telling the truth and, he could have been having an allergic reaction until, unfortunately, the medical staff at the hospital explained the full extent of the boy's physical injuries. I believed her until the doctors told me otherwise because I trusted her. I feel so betrayed because I would have done anything for Hodges or her daughter, she said, noting that Hodges' child was the same age as the victim. Now, he arrived at the hospital about 2 a.m. on June 14th, 2022. According to medical reports, he had blunt force trauma to the head and was bleeding out of his eyes and ears and had to have immediate brain surgery. This is alleged to have, happened because she threw him into a wall. I mean, again, I don't know how to say anything more about that than what the actual hell and demons walk among us. Now, police, sprang into action fairly quickly in this particular case and had Hodges under arrest at 7:50 a.m., just hours after, little Kyrie was admitted to the hospital. Now, investigators said that Hodges went on to admit that she had, thrown the toddler while she was watching him for the mother. She admitted that's not what was supposed to happen, she told detectives during an interview. You all want to blame me. You all just want to say I put my anger on the victim, and that's not what it is. No, that's exactly what it is. I don't know if you're mentally deficient and can't figure this out, but that is exactly what you were charged with, ma'am. Maybe I hit him too hard. This is a quote, but I didn't take my anger out on him. Well, then, ma'am, I hope you meet a lot of Gen Pop people that aren't taking their anger out on you, but just, lay hands on you, allegedly in Minecraft. Let's see how this equation works when it happens to you, because I'm wondering if you'll class it, as something different depending on the, whatever the, aggressor says. Now, authorities initially charged her with first-degree CA, but the charge was then upgraded to murder after the victim unfortunately and heartbreakingly succumbed to his injuries and was pronounced dead on Wednesday, June 15th, 2022. Now, she is currently scheduled to have her sentencing on October the 2nd, and she faces up to life in prison. Bon voyage, bitch bag, drop the soap. I got nothing more to say, except that Kyrie was a beautiful soul, and after all of this is done and she is sentenced, I hope everyone just remembers that beautiful little boy. Again, possibly don't be a ratchet on the internet and don't admit to crimes while FaceTiming. I mean, I'm not a life guru, but these are the things I've learned while covering the news. Quote, lucky her family ain't making a GoFundMe. A woman stabbed a rival in her, quote, mother effing brain in a parking lot fight and bragged about it on Facebook. Congratulations. And the world's dumbest criminal has finally gotten its woman quotient. If anything a man can do, a woman can do too, and that includes being a stupid, dumbass criminal, doesn't it? Equality for women. A Texas woman is behind bars in Florida, so does that make her a temporary Florida woman, or was she just imbibing the crazy? Need to know. For attempting to take the life of a former friend of hers at a 7-Eleven last month. Could we get any more ratchet? Like 7-Eleven bragging on Facebook, probably videotaped the daggone assault. Could we get any more, just ratchet? Probably not. After plunging a knife into the victim after agreeing to meet in Miami to fight and then bragging about it on social media. Call me Chuckles, you are a clown. Call me Chucky and Mike Myers, ho. Shanika Jenkins, 29, of Houston, said in a live Instagram video reviewed by Miami Police Department, according to her criminal complaint. That hoe can have fingerprints, evidence. I don't give a flying F, Jenkins allegedly said in what can only be described as a cluster migraine headache for her defense attorney. Uh, Now, Jenkins allegedly said after being asked why you stabbed that girl by a viewer in reference to the victim's murder on July 15th, that hoe lucky her family ain't making a GoFundMe right now, B. Now, these are not my words, obviously. Now, police say that Jenkins attacked the victim, who has not been named in the complaint, in the parking lot of a 7-Eleven at Miami's Liberty City neighborhood with a small black knife following a spat at an upscale hookah lounge, Uncut Miami, earlier that evening. Now, the pair allegedly exited their vehicles and approached each other after arriving at the convenience store to fight before things turned deadly. During the fight, the victim felt a sharp object stabbing her in the face and she yelled, "She's stabbing me." Now, video recordings from Instagram and then Facebook, because we have to multi-platform our premeditation and post-meditation. I mean, how to crime Sarah Boone style. Good Lord. Don't write about your crimes, don't Facebook about your crimes, don't Instagram your crimes. Maybe just don't crime. I don't know who needs to hear. Now, it allegedly shows Jenkins saying things like, I ain't sorry, B, I'll do it again, and, other various statements related to the attack and taking, credit for it. Again, in videos that can only be described as a migraine headache for her defense attorney. Now, she and the victim used to be friends after meeting through social media in 2023, but their friendship ended abruptly following a 2024 argument on Valentine's Day. I tried to stab her in the eye and the middle of the forehead, Jenkins again proclaimed on the video, noting that the victim was lucky she woke to see another day, and that she should have finished the hoe off, and allegedly should have used a freedom seed instead of a knife. But yeah, no, just pray for her defense attorney and the vodka that he consumes. Now, she has been charged with attempted first-degree murder and was held Monday without bond. She does have prior convictions on her records for grand theft in both Florida and fraud in Texas. Well, Michael Myers, I hope that your new and wonderful jail friends will call you that. Maybe don't brag about your crimes. Maybe don't do crimes. I don't know. Call me crazy. And this is an interesting case. I do think it'll be one that I do want to try to cover. But it is got a lot of things. It's got competency, it's got, kids, but it's also got a lot of unknowns, and it might be an interesting trial. Continuing to search for our babies, a mother has been indicted again for the alleged taking of life of two missing kids after being deemed incompetent to stand trial. A Maryland mother has found herself back behind bars days after she was released from a psychiatric facility where she spent the last 3 years after being deemed incompetent to stand trial for the alleged taking of her two children's life, who remain missing but are presumed dead. Catherine Hoggle, 38, was indicted Thursday on 2 counts of murder in the disappearance of 3-year-old Sarah Hoggle and 2-year-old Jacob Hoggle, the Montgomery County State Attorney's Office said in a press release. Now, Sarah and Jacob were last seen with their mother on September 7, 2014. Authorities believe that the children are no longer living, but their bodies have not been recovered as of yet. Now, she was first charged with child neglect and obstruction and later murder, but she was deemed incompetent to stand trial some 30 times over 5 years. Her lawyer at the time called Hoggle a profoundly mentally ill woman. Now, in November 2022, a judge dismissed the charges and ordered Hoggle to a maximum security psychiatric hospital. The judge cited a state law that requires defendants must be deemed competent to stand trial within 5 years or the charges must be dropped. This is not a double jeopardy situation, the state's attorney's office said at the time. While the judge today ruled that Hoggle is incompetent to stand trial, he also involuntarily committed her to a psychiatric facility indefinitely. Should doctors ever decide that her condition has improved and she's released, the state reserves the right to recharge her with murder. So, again, we're looking at this case. This case is going to be very in-depth, and it's going to be one of those where we're going to have to look at tips, have to look at timelines and everything else. And especially with her mental health being deteriorated, she's not going to be a reliable narrator of what's going on, at least in my opinion. So this is definitely going to be a case to watch. And there's no guarantee that going back to jail or being charged won't deteriorate her mental health again. And not knowing the case, how much of her mental health, seems to be severe and, really actually, a clinically diagnosable mental health issue, or is there any percentage that's malingering? I don't know. It's not a case I've dug into, but it's definitely probably going to be one of the bigger cases if she's deemed competent, because no one likes someone doing anything to kids. But that has been the Lord Chippy contestants this morning, and it's a full female sweep. So XX chromosomes, I guess we can crime too.